Shalom, shalom. This is Elder Isaac, the Elder Stores of Truth Ministry, sharing with you another Scripture Nugget. Today's Scripture Nugget is coming from the book of Ecclesiastes, or in Hebrew, Qoheleth, chapter 12, verse 13 specifically, and we may touch on verse 14. I'm reading from the Institute Scripture Research Version. It reads, "Let us hear the conclusion of the entire matter. For Elohim, fear Elohim and guard his commands, but this applies to all mankind. For Elohim shall bring every work into right ruling, including all that is hidden, whether good or whether evil." Now I want to read this from the King James Version as well. It says, "Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man." Now the word duty is italicized, which means that it was added by the translators. It says, "For God or Elohim shall bring every work into judgment, and with every secret thing, whether it is good or whether it be evil." Now this is a well quoted scripture within Christendom, but I want to focus on verse 13 specifically, because in this particular verse, it describes the design of man. The design of man. Now, for context reasons, when you look at verse 9 and verse 10, it contains the word preacher. Preacher in Hebrew is Qoheleth. That's where we get the title of this book, Ecclesiastes, because it means a public speaker of the words of Yah, or the Father's words. And so therefore, this is where we get the word Ecclesiastes from. Now, as we look at this, when you look at it from the Hebraic meaning, the word keep, that is from the King James Version, it has a Hebrew word, shamar, which is to observe. It means to guard. It also means to retain in bounds. In bounds. There's an order of things. There are things in which we try to keep boundaries to prevent us from going past those boundaries and walking in error and so forth. And so when you consider the Hebraic context and the whole application of this particular verse, the purpose or the design of man, I remind you that it says the whole duty in King James, but if the duty is italicized as it is, we can assume that it is inserted by the translator, so therefore it should read, "This is the whole of man," which means this is the whole design of man. Man has been designed. So if you want to speak it in paraphrase, it would say the purpose or the design of man is to reverence Elohim, to observe, to guard, and to retain in bounds what? The commands. Retain in bounds the instructions. Retain in bounds the Torah. That's the whole of man. That's our purpose. And when you look at verse 14, it says again from the King James Version, it says, "For God," or we know as Elohim, "shall bring every work into judgment with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil." Now, how is he going to do that? By his Torah, by his Torah, because those are the things in which we are keeping or retaining in bounds, his commands and his instructions that has been given to the whole or the whole man. How is he going to do it? Through his Torah. Well, where's the Torah, the commands, the instructions? Well, two particular scriptures, two particular books that can give us the foundation of Torah is Exodus or Shemot chapter 20 and Deuteronomy, Devarim chapter 6. There you can see the bounds or the instructions that will cause us to keep or to stay within bounds, for it is the whole duty of man. Shalom, shalom. See you next time on Scripture Nuggets.